Are you in the market for some safety glasses and not sure where to start? Boy, are you glad to see me. Stick around, I'm gonna help you out. Hello and welcome to My Glass Tyler. Today, I want to talk to you about everything you need to know when buying protective eyewear. I want to be clear about things like ANSI ratings, some other kind of ratings that you might find in quote unquote safety glasses, help you understand how to pick safety glasses by looking at frame and lens technology, which is to say how those different options relate to your profession. We'll also get into my top frame recommendations that kind of cover a range of what you might be looking for in safety glasses. And of course, we'll talk prescription. We are SportRx after all. And if at the end of this you're ready to order, definitely don't forget about SportRx, and certainly don't forget about our CBITR guarantee, because that allows you to shop risk-free. All right, let's get into this. First off, let's talk ANSI ratings. This gets really confusing, and honestly, even very tenured opticians still have trouble with this because it's just not very easy to understand. And I will tell you for certain, I will not be exhaustive with this. I'm gonna go pretty basic because it gets really complicated, and honestly, you don't need to know that much about it unless your employer is requiring a very specific one, and then probably we'll talk to you about that. If it's not one that I cover here in person, just call us. We have opticians who would love to help you no matter what your questions are. We're super friendly and very knowledgeable, and we love hearing from you, so why not give us a call? All right, so ANSI stands for American National Standards Institute, and yes, this is a US-based standards institute. It is different in other countries, so do keep that in mind if you are not in the US of A. They are the ones who actually set these safety standards for the frames and for the lenses. Multiple rounds of testings are required to get an ANSI certification when you're a frame manufacturer, and so these have definitely gone through the system. And it's important that you know that you're getting something that is safe, and so you can count on that for sure in all of these frames. Tests against things like impact, blocking dust and debris, or liquid splashes, the list kind of goes on. Most employers require the standard ANSI Z87.1. That is the most commonly recognized one because it is the most common. You might also see this safety rating written as Z87-2, which is regarding prescription. All the frames we're talking about today are both Z87.1 and Z87-2 certified. And by the way, while we're talking safe choices, you should make the safe choice right now and go ahead and like this video and go ahead and subscribe, because we have lots of great eyewear related content that I think you'll love. And so be a part of the family. Subscribe. We'd love to see you. So when it comes to frame technology, obviously the material is very important. The frame material must be tougher and lighter than ever. That means that they can take a beating and keep you comfortable while you're on the job. The best materials that you're gonna find are going to be a nylon. You can find it in different forms depending on the brand. Some examples would be Oakley, they call theirs O-Matter, and it is a proprietary, it's not just a standard nylon. These different brands use different proprietary tech. Wiley X uses a material they call Triloid. Tifosi uses a material they call Grillamid TR90. And so definitely these are materials that you can rely on and count on. But ultimately what it boils down to is having that safety rating, that ANSI on the frame. And so that's really, it's not something that you can fake. And so it's really easy to spot what is and what is not gonna be something that works for you. Whatever you call it, they're all designed to keep you safe. Now, when it comes to fit and grip, obviously a proper fit is super important to making sure your protective eyewear is working as intended. If it's too big, there are going to be gaps, which means points of entry for dirt, dust, and debris. Also, frame slippage requires readjusting, which can be distracting. You don't want to have to be touching your eyewear. I think the best thing you can say about any piece of eyewear is that you can put them on and forget about them. They're supposed to be performing for you, not you having to do something to keep them doing their job. If they're too small, something you can expect is headaches. So if you put glasses on and you just feel like you're getting headaches, that discomfort, it might not be immediately noticeable that it's because of the size, but that could be a big factor. While talking about fit, we at SportRx have come up with really the best approach that we've seen so far when it comes to giving you a good idea of what to expect in terms of frame fit, beyond just seeing the measurements that are typically written on the frames, because those aren't actually meant to help you know how it's going to fit. Those are actually measurements that are made for the manufacturing process as well as the lab use for when prescription lenses are manufactured for them. So not a way to give you a good idea of how they're going to fit, but the SFW is a good way to understand how they're going to fit you practically. You'll get the most out of your protective eyewear, obviously, if you have a comfortable fit. Grip is also something to definitely keep in mind if you want to make sure that you have a no slip retention policy, as it were, in your glasses. Typically, you'll find the grip either on the temples. It could be either wrapped around the temple. It could be embedded on the inside of the temple where it makes contact with the side of your head, and also grip on the nose. Then we want to talk about coverage. Of course, the coverage means the frame and the lenses are a physical barrier. Bigger is better. Not only is it better protection, but also it's better visibility, which can also mean safer. Coverage comes in different forms though. You can have coverage in a more wrap design, which the nomenclature that we use when referring to wrap is the base curve. And the 8 base, the higher the number is, the more curved the lenses are. An 8 base is a pretty typical like wrap design of what we would call a wrapped frame, is an 8 base frame. You could also get a frame that's maybe not as wrapped, but has a nice tall and wide lens. Also really good. In that case, you're almost certainly going to be needing side shields in your frame design. Get into that a little bit as well as we kind of talk about these individual frames here. Depending on your job and frame needs, this will help you to determine what kind of coverage you need. All right, now let's talk about lenses. Now talking lens technology, specifically clear lenses right now. I think most times when people are thinking about safety glasses, they're probably thinking about clear lenses. Clear lenses are going to obviously give you the most natural vision experience and best suited for indoors, really just indoors, I think, because you don't want anything blocking your vision for typical indoor use. Obviously, this ranges and varies greatly because you might be doing something indoors that actually requires some kind of light protection or light blocking. I think for the most part, clear is pretty common for indoors. Great for fields like medical, dental, laboratory, and more. This is going to be available in plano or prescription. Now, when it comes to plano or non-prescription, that's the word we use for non-prescription lenses, plano. If you were to get plano lenses, then you do need to be careful what frame you're buying, because not all safety frames come with plano clear safety lenses. Like this one, for instance. This one, if you were to buy it off the shelf, the lenses are not actually safety rated, and it says it clearly here. I don't know that every frame, safety frame out there is going to have it clearly on the lens when it isn't actually safety rated in the plano version. So definitely keep an eye out for that. In the case of the Wileys, these actually you can get off the shelf with the clear lenses, and they are safety rated as well. If you're buying prescription, obviously this doesn't matter because they're replacing the lenses that come from the manufacturer regardless. If you're getting prescription, I always recommend an anti-fog coating. That makes a huge difference. That can be a huge nuisance for sure when you're indoors, and there are a lot of different things that can affect the lenses and cause them to fog. And so I always recommend a good anti-fog coating. Doesn't affect your vision or optics at all, and it can help to make them actually safer, because if they fog up and you can't see very well, that's certainly not safe, right? Now, when you're having these lenses manufactured for the frame, the lab should be making those lenses to those ANSI standards, and you should see that mark on the outside corner, upper outside corner of each lens, denoting rather, that they are going through those safety standards, those safety practices, or tests rather, to make sure that they do comply with those safety ratings. Now, when it comes to safety sunglasses, I mean, really all those same things apply, except for we're talking about a lens that will help to minimize light transmission through the lenses. So tinted lenses are going to provide more comfortable vision, obviously when you're working outside or in really harshly bright lit conditions. Also, if you are outside, it's going to help to block harsh UV rays, and it can help to block glare depending on what lens what lens features you go with. You can pick lens colors that enhance contrast for your specific environment. And we love talking about contrast here at SportRx. So you can always talk to one of our opticians would love to help you if you're not quite sure what lens would be best for you and your specific environment. So definitely let us help you. Some proprietary lens techs that we can recommend. There's Oakley Prism. They have polarized and non-polarized options. If you're a big fan of Oakley and you're already familiar with Prism, do keep in mind that when it comes to Prism, their options when in the safety category are way more limited. You can't get those cool like sport prism options and some of the more wild color prism options, but they do still have that prism lens tech that you can get in safety form. Also Wiley X. Wiley X is definitely one of the first brands that comes to mind when I think about safety, and their tech is called Captivate. Amazing lens tech, really good at boosting color and contrast, really cool lens, really beautiful lens. All polarized, by the way. So that's a good lens feature if you're wanting to cut glare bouncing off of other objects like water or windshields, vehicles, glare that's, just light bouncing off of other objects. You want polarized. Both of these lens techs, by the way, are available in prescription. The last lens tech that you will potentially come across, especially if you're talking about prescription, would be Transitions safety glasses. Transitions is actually a brand name that is referring to the more generic term of photochromic, which means that it is light reactive. So you go outside in a bright sunny condition and they'll get darker. You go inside in no sunny conditions and they will lighten up. Ideal if you work in a variety of settings or lighting conditions, like I was saying before, outside or inside. What about both? Transitions are a great option for you then. Definitely the most convenient option and can be the most economical since you don't need to buy multiple sets of eyewear, multiple sets of safeties. The way that they work typically is that they react to UV exposure. So that is something to keep in mind. You'll notice that if you're wearing a hat or if you're in the shade, they tend to not be as dark, even though you are still outside in sunny conditions. It also can be interesting that when it's cloudy, but there is UV coming through the clouds, as we probably have all experienced, getting a sunburn, even though it's cloudy, well, that actually can mean that your lenses get a little darker, even when it's not quite as bright outside. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Also, in a vehicle, there is UV treatment on your windshields, and so it's not going to get that UV exposure, so it's not going to get as dark as it can get while you're inside the vehicle. A lot of the time, Transitions are only available in prescription, but Wiley X actually offers some photochromic options in select plano frames. For instance, the Wiley X Gravity. We'll get into that in a bit. Now talking about prescription safety glasses, which is very near and dear to our hearts. Like mentioned earlier, of course, your prescription lenses will also be ANSI certified and have the markings to prove it, because there is a chance that you're going to have an inspector that's going to be checking out those lenses as well as a frame to make sure that they are in compliance. So clear or tinted lens options will actually, and this is the thing that's interesting about the markings on the lenses, that can get very confusing, because the actual markings that you get on the lenses will be dependent upon the lab manufacturing them and the lens features that you select for your prescription lenses. For instance, if you were to get Transitions lenses, there is almost certainly going to be a little V marking on your lenses, and that is to denote variable. A variable tint, because they vary in tint depending on the light conditions. And so it does change. It is not going to say ANSI Z87.1. It's not supposed to, it doesn't have to. So that is something that I've gotten confusion from. I've been an optician for a very long time, and a few times I have experienced inspectors saying those aren't marked correctly, but they actually are. So really, again, it can be very confusing. Again, we have a friendly team of certified opticians standing by to help you with any questions you might have, because I've said this is confusing about 7 times. So we're also here if I'm not doing a great job of it here in front of the camera. Now let's get into a few frame recommendations. By the way, if you're looking for more than just 3 styles, then you can check out our other videos. Like I mentioned, if you subscribe, if you like, we have so many great videos that are very informative, that gives you all of the information you could possibly need on really any kind of eyewear, especially sport related, we got you covered. Starting with the Wiley X Gravity. Oh, and by the way, the reason I only did 3 styles is because I went with 3 kind of different styles to cater to different potential safety glasses needs. The Wiley X Gravity is one of our most popular safety glasses, and it's amazing. So it's no surprise, really and truly. Lots of hazards on the construction site, flying debris, dust, and chemicals. You have a foam gasket here, and this is removable. It is replaceable. Replaceable is important because if you're talking safety glasses, you're probably pretty tough on them, and you're wearing them all day long, which means they're getting sweat, they're getting grimy, and you don't want to have to keep wearing these frames or replace the entire frame rather with gross foam. Really easy to replace them, really easy to swap them out, so that's awesome. I like that a lot. If you need lots of coverage and a tough frame, you have a full wrap design. This is an 8 base like I mentioned earlier. This is a part of their climate control series since they come with this foam gasket. They also come with what they call a T-peg strap, which I really like. It's a strap that connects to the center of the temple here, which is pretty unique. What's nice about that is that you really get unrivaled retention on your head. It's a little different feel than if you were to have a strap on the back of the temple because it feels a little more goggle-like, which for some is amazing. There is, of course, also grip on these temples here. It's more of a straight back design, so super helmet compatible, hat compatible, hard hat compatible. You do have grip on the nose as well, so you have all of those contact points. You have grip on those contact points to keep them on your head no matter what you're doing and no matter how much you're sweating. Also, of course, you're getting those safety lenses even in the Plano version. So you get them and you don't need prescription. These lenses are safety rated, so you're covered there. Also available in prescription, like I mentioned, and you can get those authentic Captivate lenses, which, like I said, I can't speak enough about. They are awesome. Also a cool thing I want to point out, this colorway here is actually only available through SportRx. We partnered up with Wiley X and we got our own unique colorway, and so we're a little proud of that. So check these guys out. Another thing to mention when talking about the foam is that the foam is vented, so it does help to minimize fogging. If you are getting these in prescription, I do still recommend that anti-fog coating, especially if you're planning on wearing them with a gasket, because it is a really tight seal, and so it can have more potential for fogging, but it got you covered pretty well with not only the open cell foam design, but also the vents designed in this gasket. And when it comes to sizing, these have an SFW of 135 millimeters, which lands you in that men's medium to large range or women's large. Next, we have a frame that I think is most appropriate and fitting for the laboratory. This is another very popular frame for us. It's called the Armor X 6006. Not as fun of a model name, but whatever, it still works amazingly well. If you're required to wear protective eyewear in the lab, this is an awesome choice. This is available with a removable gasket as well, depending on how much involvement you have with chemicals. You do have great ventilation through these to help minimize fogging if that's a concern for you. Again, removable and replaceable, so not a concern there either. You also get a removable leash that connects to the tips of the temples here, and it is more of a button attachment here rather than a sleeve attachment, so I find those tend to be a little more secure, so that's really nice as well, and it kind of gives it also a little more of that sort of goggly feel if that's what you're looking for. This actually, even though it has the protection of an 8-base wrap design, it has the RX ability of a 6-base design because it is actually a 6-base lens. So it's super RX friendly. Even pretty strong prescriptions will work in this frame, and they are able to make up for it without having a side shield by kind of doing a built-in side shield here. So you can see how much more material there is that kind of extends past the lens curvature here. Really unique and smart design to be able to cater to a wide range of prescriptions, but also still give you that protection that you need in the side shield design. When it comes to prescription, this is available, of course, in prescription, like I've said 100 times, but with SportRx lenses, we have a huge catalog. You can build them a la carte. Again, we have opticians who can help you pick out what's right for you. When it comes to sizing, this has an SFW of 135 millimeters, which lands you in that men's medium to large range or large for women. And last but certainly not least, we have something I think that's a little more fitting for the office or can even go into some more of your day-to-day life. So the reason that it, I think, suits that is you can tell very clearly that this is a little more of a typical eyeglass design. You can tell immediately when you pick them up that it's not just a normal pair of eyeglasses because they feel substantial. This is a frame style that if you are going to wear them in safety situations, you almost certainly are going to need side shields, at least if that's something that's enforced, because it is a very flat frame style. It's more of an eyeglass design, more of a typical safety glass frame design. But this is another Wiley X option. If I didn't say that already, the Chase. It's really solid, really good looking frame, and feels, again, like I mentioned, extremely substantial. When it comes to frame material, it's made out of a high quality metal on the frame front and then that triloid nylon on the temples. You do have adjustable nose pads. You have adjustable temples that don't have grip on them but can be adjusted to wrap behind your ear to keep them on your face no matter what you're doing. And of course, RXable, again with Wiley X authentic lenses, whether it be clear or you can even get their sunglass lenses put in this if you so desire. When it comes to sizing this as an SFW, again of 135 millimeters, which lands in that medium to large for men and large for women. So that wraps it up for the biggest things you need to know before buying safety glasses. I really hope this is helpful and I nailed all of the different points that you were hoping to be answered. So if you're ready to shop any of these styles, stick around for a moment longer. We'll have an easy to click shop now button. And again, if you're ready to order, do not forget about SportRx and definitely don't forget about that See Better guarantee. I really think it gives you a ton of peace of mind. And if peace of mind is your thing, us opticians, if I haven't already mentioned us 7 times, let me mention them 7 times more. We have live opticians who are trained, knowledgeable, certified, who would love to help you get it right the first time. It's like a whole reason for existing. So let us help you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was interesting or valuable information. If so, throw us a like because that helps us out. You can find relevant videos over here. If you're looking to shop for any of these styles, you can click this button right here. It'll take you right to them. And if you're looking for more content to consume, as we all are these days, I think you should check us out on our social media outlets because I think you'll like it. We have cool stuff. You can find us on our handle @SportRx.